What's up, Outliers? Another day, another dollar. Today, we are celebrating together. We just crossed 35,000 subscribers on YouTube. So you here. This is a screenshot I literally took right before, which is pretty fun. It is absolutely short of my initial goal for the year, which is 40, but it's still a cool round number. And I want to spend just a little bit of time reflecting on like what the community is, what it started as, what it's grown into, and to talk about where we're trying to go. Because this is something that I'm learning as I go along, but at this point, I have at least a pretty good understanding of what I'm looking to accomplish more broadly and what I want to do. But before we get into any of that, we do need to say hello to everybody that's here, because you all are what make that a thing. And I want to explain to you why that's important in a minute. To that end, what's up, Lauren, Kirk, Shrey? Shrey is an OG, and same thing with IR Too Bad, another OG that's effectively been here from the start. I actually don't know for IR Too Bad. I'm not positive when you found your way into the channel. I know it's early. I just don't know exactly when. I'd love to know. Reggie says, congrats. 40K will come soon. It'll come when it comes. One of the coolest things about the channel is that it consistently grows. So I fully agree. For those that don't know, the longer term objective is 100,000. And the reason why I want to get to 100,000, I've explained this before, but I think that that is mainstream enough penetration for the YouTube channel that it proves two things. One of them, it proves that what I'm sharing is being shared in a way that at least is usable to a large number of people, which is important. But it also proves that I've done a good enough job striking that balance, because as you all know by now, I literally refuse to compromise on what I consider to be quite literally a moral obligation of a content creator, especially in this kind of space, which is to not sell out, go down the route of here's how I made $62,000 over the weekend in 3 minutes, which is actually a real story, but I won't make that video. And the reason why I won't make that video is because that video will completely destroy a new trader's expectation of how this thing is going to go. And I think that sucks. It's effectively completely corrupting them, and it's overall setting them up for failure, not for success, which is the antithesis of why I started this whole thing. Lauren says, we're going to have to get you to use clickbait titles and you could talk about paper trading. Yeah, now that is the old, what is it? The rug pull. Fun fact, for those that don't know, the channel Benjamin, which is, again, I hope you guys know, I keep in touch with him pretty regularly. Actually, I like Benjamin a lot. He's a really good dude. He's been getting more into trading, which is absolutely awesome to see. And this is his channel. In case you don't know, you should check it out. And he's evolved a lot. But anyways, that idea of like a rug pull is definitely something he's suggested. He was like, you have to just package them in a way that people will click, and then you could talk about whatever you want, which there's something to that. But I still have reservations about it. A lot of it is I'm just a contrarian. I do like to do things differently than other people. And my hope is that over time, it'll do what it's supposed to do, which is find the people it's supposed to find. That is probably one of the absolute coolest things about our community, genuinely, is we literally have awesome people. Awesome people. If you think of online communities that talk about trading and talk about investing, it is very, very, very difficult to find places that people are willingly able to help you have a conversation about something. They're willing to structure it in an academically rigorous manner, which is asking questions, probing, looking for weakness, looking for strength, but then also just being a genuinely good person on the back end of it, not being malicious, not just wanting to fight, to bicker. That's the kind of stuff you're going to find on most online communities. You'll find that on places like Reddit very frequently. I didn't find a lot of that. We were on Facebook, for those that don't know, originally. We moved from Facebook to Discord, and that's no small part due to another community member, PETA. And he's the entire reason why we migrated from Facebook to Discord, because I knew nothing about Discord before him. He's the one that built the shell that what we have is now completely predicated on. Now, I want to do two things. Matthias says, evening, morning for me. We have a European in the group. What's up? Good to see you from the other side of the pond. And then IR Too Bad says, I think there was 5 on the Discord. Okay, so it was post-migration. Ken, were you there when we were in Facebook still? Remind me. I remember it was early. And I don't remember when we made the jump from Facebook to Discord, but it was early on. The timeline, I don't remember most of the timeline. Okay, no Facebook, got it. So it was still within the first year. I think we made that migration, if I'm not mistaken. Here's effectively how it went. And I remember the date that I started the YouTube just because it's a funny day, not because it's a meaningful day to me. I started the YouTube on 4 May. And the reason why I remember the 4th of May, which is that's like Star Wars Day, right? Like May the 4th be with, whatever the fuck. There's some Star Wars shit about this day, if I'm not mistaken. So this I remember because of whatever that is. And then over time, we've made a couple big changes. The first one, this was just YouTube. Then at some point, it was a Facebook group. Then after the Facebook group, we moved to Discord. Then like literally a couple years later, the Patreon hasn't been around that long. Patreon came like maybe 2 years ago. That's it. Thank you, Reggie. May the 4th be with you. That's it. That's why I remember that date. And for those that don't know the origin story for the channel, I want to tell you it because it's actually hilarious. It's actually absolutely hilarious. We moved into this house right before COVID. It was kind of during COVID. It was in 2020. And we found that this house is on top of a hill. It's why we like it. But what I didn't know is honeybees, when they have a nest, at some point, typically around the spring, half of that nest leaves. They break off. And then they go create a new nest. And then the old nest stays or doesn't. I don't know that part. But I know that they break off and a bunch of them leave. They literally fly around in baskets of bees. Like, it's huge. I actually can probably find the video and see if I can't figure out how to show it to you guys, because it's incredible. I've never seen anything like this. I'm from New York. So seeing an absolute swarm of bees is completely foreign to me. This would have been back in like definitely early on in 2020 and before May of 2020. We know that. And I'll explain why we know that in a second. But it wasn't that far from there. And so I find out that my house has this really, really fun quirk. In order to address, here it is. Yeah, I'll figure out how to show this to you guys. Maybe, how the fuck do I show this to you guys? Does this come through? It kind of does. Kind of does. Well, you'll be able to see as it moves. Give me a sec. Oh, wait, I could just literally just put it on my fucking computer. That was a boomer moment. I apologize for the boomer moment because I literally was about to just try to fucking show. I don't know why I was going to do that. That was very silly. I'm uploading it to Google Drive. And then from Google Drive, I will simply play the video on the computer and share the screen. Therefore, you all can see beautifully. This is actually the start, by the way, of the YouTube channel. So the story about the bees is comically important. And I'm actually going to see when that happened. That was on the 20th of April. That's actually even funnier than I thought. All right, let me grab the video of the bees now that I've told you about them and I wouldn't want to leave you hanging. I think it's cool, literally, just because I have never in my entire life seen anything like it. Other people, well, who knows? Other people, it's probably like fucking par for the course. Not for your boy. All right. Do that. Perfect. Grab the screen. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, here we go. So let me get rid of this. This is outside my window. And you can literally see outside my window this mass of stuff. These are all bees. And I'm going to play it and you're going to see them flying around like that. That was outside my window. They were bouncing off the window and they were going inside this rain gutter right here. They really like that little rain gutter. Thousands and thousands of them. I had never seen anything like it. So I'm sitting in my office and then I realized that we're like in the apocalypse or the end of days. In case anybody's allergic to bees, that would not be the right place to be. Get it? And we call a like beekeeper to come get rid of the bees. I don't have like a fucking bee suit and I'm not scared of bees, but I am also not fucking with thousands of them. And the way that I used to get rid of bees as a kid was using some sort of aerosol can and a fire source. Probably not sick on the house. So the only real approved way that I know that and like brake cleaner wasn't going to do it, especially in that volume. In case you didn't know, bees, when they set up a hive, they fucking somehow know where it is and they come back to it years later, literally years later. They've come back a couple times. The way that we've kept them out is this really fine mesh that we put in where they like to go. The other hilarious part is that outside my window that you're just looking at, there's one corner right there that they were at. There's another one over here. Same exact setup. They don't go to that one. We don't have any mesh in that one. They never go on that one. It's only that one. Nature's awesome. Beekeeper comes and we're just talking. Anybody that comes and works on the house or helps me at the house, I always express appreciation and I like learning. So I was asking him all about the bees and just learning. And right before he left, he was heading out of the house. He literally goes to me, and remember, this is the 20th of April. He's like, "Are you some sort of YouTuber or something?" This is before I started the channel. I didn't even have social media. I thought that was the craziest fucking thing anybody ever could have said to me. You guys see my face. I don't look pretty. I don't belong on a camera. I thought it was the most absurd thing. I literally was cackling, laughing at that idea. It was insane to me. And what? That was the 20th of April. On the 4th of May, I started the YouTube channel, something I never thought of in any capacity in my entire life. Yet this fucking beekeeper was prescient. He somehow knew that that was going to be a thing. I don't know how, but clearly there was something there because he planted the seed. It's because of him we're here, I think, at least subconsciously. What prompted me to start the YouTube channel is really, really simple. I had a conversation actually today with one of my military friends. I didn't serve with him, but I met him actually. He helped me work on this house a little bit. And he reached out asking about GameStop, funny enough. And he was asking about some position management and stuff like that. I used to have a lot of those conversations. During COVID, a lot of the bases said to their people, unless there were some sort of very specific purpose for them to be there, they said, like, don't come in, right? We're trying to tamp down the spread of this thing. So a bunch of friends are at home. I do what I do, which is I got into investing because of the grace of a high school teacher. A high school teacher took it upon himself to introduce me to the concept of investing. I didn't ask him because I didn't know to ask. Yet he still knew it was important and he shared it with me. I imagine this has got to be something like what religious people feel that go to like different people's houses trying to spread their religion. Genuinely, I feel like it's probably pretty close to that because I try to spread awareness about investing. During COVID, friends are at home. I'm just calling my friends and I'm having very basic financial conversations. I know most people are not built for options. I know most people are not built for trading. It's not good for most people. I also know that I am on the spectrum, and the stuff that I lock onto, I have an obsessive personality that cannot let it go if it's something I find interest in. I also know a lot of people are not like that. In these calls, I found myself repeating myself a lot. Basic concepts like, do you have 6 months of an emergency expense? If you work in government or if you work in the military specifically, 6 months is more than enough. If you work in a civilian job or something like at a startup, you want a little bit more than that because you never know when the end to your income is gone. And for those that don't know, one of the biggest mistakes you can make is by thinking that you're safe with your income. If you think of you, and hopefully your eyes are a little more normally spread out than that. If not, shout out to you, no disrespect. But if you have a W-2, that is your income. That's literally your fucking lifeline. That is the only source of capital you have. To somebody like me, this is terrifying because you literally become a slave to this. They tell you to do something that you don't really want to do, you got to do it. A lot of my friends were being told that they had to get the vaccine. And a lot of them have different opinions. Again, not going to go into whether you should get it, not get it. I don't care at all. But in this context, a lot of them were forced to either get in line and do it, keep your job, or if you don't do it, you lose your job. That is a big decision. And when you only have one source of income, it forces your hand in a lot of cases. Because in case you don't know, a lot of military families, the spouse doesn't work. And it's because it's really fucking hard for them to work. They move every 2 to 3 years. That's hard as shit to get a job. A lot of them thug it out and figure out how to get a job, which is insanely impressive, but it's difficult for the spouse, whoever that is. This is dangerous. During COVID, understanding this structure, I was over here on my phone calling my friends and saying like, hey, are you investing? And some of them say yes, some of them say, I don't know how. I was having the same conversations. I was saying, do you have 6 months of savings, expenses? This is your emergency fund. Do you have this in something liquid? No. Okay, let's talk about a budget on how to do that. Once that's done, do you have some sort of investment portfolio set up outside of the TSP, thrift savings plan? That's the OG retirement plan that is frankly awful. They've revamped it massively, which I'm stoked for current military members on. But when I was around, it was awful. With that, most of the time it's no. They don't even know what a broker is. So then it's walking them through finding a broker. Then after finding a broker, it's how to build a buy and hold portfolio that outperforms the market, walking them through that. These are basic topics that I was repeating that I literally could easily make a video. Say, hey, watch these 4 videos and then let's hop on the phone and let's talk about your individual scenario on like what makes sense out of all of this. This is how it all started. That's why I started the YouTube in May. Happened to be the 4th, which is funny. Happened to be after the 20th of April where that beekeeper mentioned the idea of a YouTube, which I thought was ridiculous. And I obviously had a subconscious plant in my mind and I started it. And I did not start it with any context or any idea of growing it or becoming a content creator or a financial influencer. Like none of that bullshit. I still don't identify with literally any of that. This is how it started. And then I found some of my early videos started gaining traction. And I actually found the oldest video that I could find on the channel to share with you guys because it's actually kind of funny. I thought we could look at it together. One thing to note, this is not the first video on the channel. I went through a phase where I actually deleted a ton of videos, hundreds of videos off the channel. I had no idea that that hurt the channel. In case you don't know, it does. And here's how it hurts the channel, and it's why I don't do it anymore, is if you have a bunch of different videos, and let's say you got 10 views, 10 views, 10 views, 10 views, 10 views, you have 50 views. And then let's say that you delete these 3, you lose 30 views, now you have 20 views. So it actually hurts the channel stats overall. The views aren't attached to the channel, they're attached to the video. I didn't know that. So I literally deleted hundreds of videos. The reason why I deleted hundreds of videos is I'm actually really, really big into organization. I like things to be streamlined. I don't like a bunch of fluff, excess. I like stuff to be extremely streamlined. And having like the mess of a bunch of videos that are just unlisted was annoying to me. So I just deleted a bunch. Again, don't do that anymore. So this is the oldest that I could find. This is from the 20th of May, which, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Because I was going to say the date of the video is the 22nd, which that doesn't make sense to me. Is there like some fucking Inception thing? I thought the date was, oh, it was the 22nd of May. Okay, yeah, I just had the date wrong. So this video was uploaded on the 22nd of May, which is when this is up here. This video was about the VIX compared to VXX. The funny thing about the video, as I look at it, is I can see how unbelievably awful this is to watch. And I look at it now and I literally am like, this is terrible. I've learned so much from this starting point to where we are now. And all of it is completely self-taught. It's like the trading skill set. This is me going through a learning phase and learning something completely new. Even though still at this point, I had no real aspirations of like growing the channel. Actually, I could tell you right now, I think I can tell you right now how many subs I had at the time out of sheer curiosity. Let's see if I can figure that out. I'm almost positive I'll be able to identify, because that would actually be kind of fucking hilarious. What the fuck? This is views? No, I want views. I don't even know how to use it. Monthly audience. Yeah, this is fine. So this is not subscribers. This is just like the number of monthly people that view the channel. And for context right now, it's like 70,000 to 100,000 over the course of a month. Still by no means any sort of like significant footprint at all. So what I'm doing is now I'm moving the chart out. It's actually hilarious. Let's find May 20th. May 20th was 452. 452 monthly viewers. Right on. And then the average for like 2020 into 21 was like 4,000 over the course of a month. So pretty good growth there overall. Let's listen to a little bit of VXX versus VIX, just because it's awful. It really is so bad. And I think it's funny to laugh at me. I listen to everything 2 times. I'll slow it down to normal, which is going to be even more painful for me. And let's just listen to a few seconds of this before I get completely over it. You can also see my hair was wild. I hadn't had a haircut in a while. And it's, again, because COVID, right? All the barbershops are closed. So your boy was just growing out the hair. The view here is very different. The view here is so different because this was all done on a laptop. I didn't even have a desktop. I didn't have a webcam. All of it, like the laptop used to be over on that side. And I also didn't have a mic. Somebody bought me my first mic, which was hilarious. I did not have a mic. And I had absolutely no real game plan for the videos. Kind of similar to now, if we're being honest about it. But because I did the same thing, which is just kind of outline stuff. But let's listen.
Hey everybody, as promised, I have another video comparing the VIX to the VXX. Volatility is awesome. They're products that I really enjoy.
It's awful. That's fucking awful. Like now, knowing what I know now, the first 10 seconds of a video are so important. And what I've said so far in the first 10 seconds of this video is abso-fucking-lutely nothing. I've said nothing in the first 10 seconds. Just nothing. It's just words. Let's see when I actually say something of substance.
Very nuanced.
They're nuanced. That's what you get. You're 12 seconds in, and your biggest takeaway is that volatility, ETNs, ETPs are nuanced. Sick, right? What a fucking revelation.
Actually talking with one of my friends right now who spent a lot of time learning about volatility, so I'm hoping to have him come on and talk to us a little bit about what he's learned, bring some of his experience to the table as well, because I absolutely respect his opinion on.
Now I'm talking to you in a video where 27 seconds in, and I haven't said shit about the difference between these. I'm talking about a fucking friend and their experience with VIX. I was actually trying to figure out who this friend might have been. I don't remember who it was. But that's what you get so far from this used to be ES Invests. So fuck that guy. Fuck ES Invests. The ES Invest starting point is you sit in a video for 30 seconds and you have fucking nothing to show for it other than these things are weird.
On this stuff, but to kind of prep us for that conversation and settle up on a couple, basic, similarly.
No shortage of ums. I think that's what, like four ums already, 37 seconds in. Nailed that. We're averaging an every 10 seconds. Love that for me.
Similarities and differences between the two. I figured this is a good place to start. So first, we have the VIX.
44 seconds in, we now start the video. That's what this is. 44 seconds in, we now start the fucking video.
And then the VXX. They are different. They are similar, but they are different. Let's start.
In case you didn't know they're different, I've really felt the need to elaborate that they're different in case the entire different ticker structure didn't allude to the fact that they're different. Now you know they're different.
Start with the similarities, and then I'll branch into the differences. So both of them have options available to trade on them.
Not gonna lie, the rest of it is reasonable, I think, because from here I effectively just go through this. And as usual, I'm extremely confident in the knowledge I had at this point. Even though it's 5 years ago, I've learned a lot over the last 5 years, an insane amount. But I still know like the general information that I was sharing was fine. But take a look at that delivery. Now, again, I'm not saying that I got it figured out. I just released a video today on Vega. It's kind of an off-cycle release because I'm trying to get the Greek simplified out in case you guys haven't seen it. This video here is about Vega. Actually, I'm literally going to pull it up really quick so that we could do a side-by-side and see how this one goes.
What's up?
Genuinely curious. All right. Let's see how this one goes. So we're We're just starting. Outliers. Today we're going to talk about how this can destroy your options trades, continuing with the Option Greeks Simplified series. Today we are looking at Vega. At the 13 seconds in, you know what the video is about. You know that there's this quirky little thing that can fuck up your returns. And in the video, you will have an understanding, a reminder of what Vega is, but more importantly, how to practically apply it to your trading. And you know what you get at the end of the video. Oh my God, it's so bad. It's hilarious. As you can tell, I can laugh at it because I totally understand the context of where I was at here and what I was doing. So I'm not embarrassed by it at all. This is still live on the channel. I haven't even taken it down because the information's fine. I do have a note to redo this video though, after I looked at it, because I was like, it's about time for an update. But not embarrassed by it at all. It's in context. I understand it entirely. A lot has changed. And that's really fun for me. I haven't had the opportunity to learn something new in a long time, like a genuinely new skill set. This is the first completely foreign skill set that I've learned in a very long time. And it's entirely foreign. It's social media, it's brand management, it's content creation, it's presentation style, it's everything. And I really enjoy not just the process of sharing information, but learning a new skill. That's why when I look at where we're at so far year to date, even though we're, 15% off of where I want it to be at the end of the year, this is completely fine. This is completely fine progress. And it's because more than the top line number here, what I care about, just like in trading, is the process. Am I learning how to do this better? Am I learning how to convey information about something as boring as Vega? And am I able to convey that at least in a marginally reasonable way that people will find useful at the very least? The next evolution, realistically, is to figure out how to make those things like genuinely interesting to people. That's kind of hard. And that's a nut I haven't really been able to crack that successfully yet. And it's because once you start getting into any of the nomenclature of options, you immediately remove 95% of traders have no fucking idea what any of it means. That's even when we're at the surface level of talking about delta. That's why when I look at my long-term goal of 100,000, I think that's aggressive as is. But there's also a very small number of YouTube channels that hit that. And that's outlier performance. It doesn't matter what I do. My mind is geared to try and hit outlier performance. So if I ask how many YouTube channels hit 100,000 subscribers? And let's see, as a percentage. And we need to, as a percentage of content creation channels, because it's not just of all accounts, that doesn't matter. All right. So it looks like there's a so it looks like there's an average of 34 million YouTube channels, and that there's 24,000 with over 100,000. So it's about a 0.07% chance. But again, just like the stats in trading, I don't really take that as 0.07%, because I know for a fact a good number of YouTubers that start, just like a good number of traders that start, are going to wash out immediately. They're lazy. They're not going to do the fucking work. And I don't identify with that at all. I identify with the group that puts their effort in and then they still fail. That's the group that I would want to compare myself against. And I don't really believe that's in store for me or the account. My genuine expectation is that it will continue to slowly and steadily grow. If I share with you, and by the way, if you have any questions about the YouTube channel, literally anything, ask me. If you're curious how much it makes, if you're curious about watch hours, watch time, anything, ask me. It's all completely on the docket. All of it is open source. I don't hide anything about it. But if I look at quickly subscribers and I look at specific years, so in 2024, I grew, well, let's go back and let's do 2020. And let's see what I grew in 2020. I have to start it at May 4th. It's yelling at me. So May 4th, 20. The channel grew by 28,000 subs. That was, funny enough, accompanied by a ton of accounts that latched on to small parts of what I did, but not like the options trading stuff. So that's why that year, oh no, that's to 2024. I was wondering, I was like, that seems a little off. Let's see in 2020. There we go. So in 2020, like it was 4.4 thousand. That's how much the channel grew in 2020. In 2021, we grew by very quirky, this tool. 2021 was, dude, this tool is fucking killing me. It just did January. There we go. All right. I got it now. There we go. Okay. In 2021 was 1.8 thousand. So objectively, very, very slow. In 2022, it was let's see, 3,000. 2023. It was. So 4,000, 1,000, 3,000. That one's 6,000. Next was 12.6 thousand. And 2025 so far is 7,000. So a little bit slow compared to last year. But I think one of the biggest things that I felt really comfortable with is who is finding their way into the community. It's the same thing in like the Discord. What I care more about than anything, without a doubt, is the quality of the community and not the quantity. All right, let's see. Lauren says, you taught someone who didn't understand a bid-ask spread a ton in just over a year. The first 6 months, I didn't understand 90% of what was happening. Lauren, honestly, I'm very, very glad that you found the community, just because not only are you super engaged and I value you being part of it, but you are the kind of person that I am trying to reach at this point, which are the people that are trying to learn, willing to put in the work and effort, but are susceptible to going down the wrong path. And my overall goal is to try to divert people from the wrong path. So I'm super stoked. Matthias says, are trading questions also fair game? Absolutely. Any trading questions, feel free to throw them out, without a doubt. Kirk says, what is the most profitable single video? Let's find out. I have absolutely no idea. Give me a second. I'll try to figure out. I honestly don't even really know how to fucking find that, but I think I can figure it out. Okay, here we go. So these are videos. Let me go to Lifetime. The single best performing video, or the most profitable single video, is Master 0 DTE Options. That video, I'll grab it really quick in case you guys haven't seen it, is this video. And that video has 55,900 views. And the revenue for that video is $787. So 55, it's really 56,000 because it's 55,901 views. So, and this one brought in 787 lifetime revenue. This video, I don't know. It was posted in 2023, May of 2023. So it's been about 2 years. That is what that one's made. Jordan says top 3 countries that watch the channel. The top 3 countries are probably what you would expect. The top 3 for sure are US, Canada, and then I don't know the third. I'll tell you right now. I'll take a guess because I think it's kind of fun. Where would I guess? I'm between like South America and Europe is a cheat because there's a lot of countries in Europe, so I'd have to be specific. I would guess Germany. I would guess, well, South America isn't a fucking country either, you idiot. It's a continent. We're in South America. Brazil, because just like larger population. And then for Europe, I'm guessing Spain or Germany. I'm going to guess Germany. Germany. All right, let's see where you guys are from. Fuck. Germany's number 5. So not that far off. So the top geographies, top 5, United States is 58%. Canada is 7%. Australia, bit of a curveball, 3.3%. I guess I should have stuck with English-speaking countries. That was a bit of a rookie mistake. Australia, 3.3%. United Kingdom, 3%. And then Germany, 2.2%. Per capita, Germany being there is actually quite high. Then it's India, Japan, Singapore, Netherlands, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Italy, Poland, Thailand, France, Norway, Israel, UAE, Brazil. Brazil was way off. Malaysia, Belgium, Hong Kong, New Zealand, South Korea, Ireland, Romania, South Africa, Austria, Denmark, Portugal, Mexico, Greece, Taiwan, Czechia. That's fascinating. Turkey, Bulgaria, Philippines, Finland, Vietnam, Argentina, Cyprus, Saudi Arabia, Colombia, Indonesia, Hungary, Croatia, Slovenia, Puerto Rico, and Pakistan. That is the rundown. The next is, what is the average age? Average age, it doesn't give me average age. It gives me a breakdown in terms of buckets. And it looks like the average age is something between 35 and 54. Both of those are 25% of the channel respectively. That's for the last 28 days. There's 0%, 13 to 17, and then 1.5%, 18 to 24. 25 to 34 is 12.6%. 55 to 64 is 20.2%. 65 plus is 15.3%. It's about what I would expect. Honestly, the 25 to 34 is a little bit light. That makes me a little bit sad. I would like to penetrate that age group more deeply just because that's the group that really can stand to learn a lot here. The 18 to 24, that would be ideal, but I also am realistic and I know that the majority of like 18 to 24, it's not happening. So yeah, Male to female ratio. Male to female ratio is funny. What would you guys guess? What's the guess for male to female ratio? What do you guys think? 90% male is what Jordan says. Kirk, 90-10. Any others? Lauren says 5% female. Fucking A, Lauren, you're exactly correct. It's 5.4% female and 94.6 male. I honestly don't know why that is. Because I feel like trading is accessible to anybody. So I don't know why. Maybe it's like the channel just the way that I am. And maybe other channels are way more female dense. That absolutely could be. But I wonder if it's more of a niche thing. Ken says, I've heard the ladies turn out to be better traders. I could see that. I also think that's one of those things that's like said, and I don't know if it's actually true, but I could absolutely see that. I've worked with quite a few women, especially in like the coaching program, and they're really good they're super coachable. Again, to generalize broadly, but they're super coachable, which is great. You can make a lot of progress there, and I think that that's a good general trait. But I also think one of the common themes I see is a little bit gun shy. So that's probably just because they're thinking through stuff a little more pragmatically and like accepting of risk and thinking of risk. I'm just guessing in broad generalizations. I think that typically would hold up though between like general male disposition versus female. But yeah, I could definitely see the potential for them to be insanely good traders. Zuber says, found this channel when I saw Roaring Kitty's meme Options 101. I'm actually really, really stoked that that's how you found the channel, is because let me find my first GME video. When was that? I've been doing GME videos for a while, but let's find the first one here. The first one looks like June of 24. So this looks like the video, and this was in June. So this is talking about Roaring Kitty's position, and it's explaining the difference between value, notional value in terms of how much the options were. This was a big thing I remember, because I remember somebody was asking me about the idea of like, what's he going to do with his positions? What are the choices? And a lot of people thought that he was going to exercise. And I think the reality is, my argument is that he wouldn't have done that. And I don't know if I included the math here somewhere. I don't see it. There he is. I don't think I included the math here, but he would have given up an insane amount of intrinsic value, which wouldn't have made sense. So yeah, I'm actually really, really stoked that you came across the channel in this way. Brain says, Eric, what is that short-handed crescent wrench looking plaque thingy hanging on your wall? Let me see. What? I don't see it. What thing are you referring to? I think this was Brain. I don't see the thing. I see the mammoth tusk. That's actually super cool, in case you didn't know. That's a real mammoth tusk from Russia. That's a megalodon tooth. This is a piece of a meteor. This is a walrus tusk from Alaska. That's an arrowhead that I found from New York. And then that's a dinosaur tooth, a real dinosaur tooth. I forgot the name of the dinosaur, but that one is also sick. And then over here, I have a wakizashi katana. It's like a short katana. That was actually sent to me from a viewer. I cherish that. That is a old Viking sew knife, SEAX. It's kind of like their basic knife. And then there's like some necklaces, like Viking necklaces that are on that. Then this little clear thing, which is hard to see, is actually a piece of barbed wire from D-Day. I'll show it to you. That thing is really, really cool. Oh, you mean that thing? That thing. So this is a piece of barbed wire from Omaha Beach on D-Day that they put in like these acrylic containers. So it's like super cool. This is a knife that my grandpa made out of a file. So if you see the bottom here, it's not focusing. If you see the bottom here, this is actually the bottom of a file. And he made this out of a file. So obviously I love that. And that's a hoplite helmet, as you might guess. That's a saber-toothed cat skull from the Brea tar pits. And then these are plaques that I've gotten. Those two are plaques that I've gotten from prior gigs that I had. I got that one when I was a platoon commander. And then I got this one when I was a platoon commander as well. And then I have a couple others over there from when I was like an OPSO. And then those two are my like rank paperwork. So when you get promoted in the Marine Corps, you go through like a commissioning process. You have to recommission and renew your commission. But definitely the coolest thing there is that fucking mammoth tusk. That thing's like 40,000 years old from an actual mammoth, which is, I think, absolutely sick. I think that's mostly what's in the background. Oh yeah, my mother-in-law painted that. She painted that by hand. That's of my actual Corvette. And it's like, it's exactly how it looks. Well, how it used to look. It has a slightly different paint scheme now. Similar, but different. I have a driver stripe. Oh. And one of the coolest details that she captured in here is I have what's called an N gauge actually in like this part. So like the driver's side corner. That's where I get all data for the car because it's all tuned and stuff. And she literally got that in there, which is cool. And then this one is just a painting, a really famous painting. I remember it from TBS of the Marines at Belleau Wood. The reason why I like that painting a lot is that it reminds me about like the nature of humans and that of war. The reality is humans have like this veneer of civilized behavior. We use forks to eat and we talk a certain way. But these motherfuckers were fighting in mustard gas, stabbing each other with bayonets and trying to rip each other's masks off to kill them. That I think carries a lot of weight. And it's also a reminder to me of how obnoxiously good I have it, and that we stand on the shoulders of giants, of people that have done extremely hard things. And that is a constant reminder to me that I am unbelievably fortunate that I never had a fight in fucking mustard gas where dudes are using bayonets to kill each other. Like, that's intense. Never had anything like that. Goofy says, I enjoy watching your channel. You're smart and have some good perspectives. I appreciate that. The main thing I try to bring with at least the perspectives is I try to very clearly delineate what's an opinion of mine versus like just a factual piece of information. I think people should be provided data. And then I think you guys should be empowered to come to your own conclusions or to ask your own clarifying questions. Sometimes, obviously, I'll share my opinion if I think it's warranted, but more often than not, I really try to focus on the objective sharing of data and then either helping you guys learn how to make your own decisions or frame decisions, stuff like that. So I'm stoked on that. Glenn Arian says, how are your accounts featured? Marked to market, just ignore PDT. Yeah, that's exactly right. So I have a bunch of different accounts, right? So I have retirement accounts, I have different entity accounts, and most of like the more professional trading accounts, those are built mark to market. That gets rid of like wash sale rules and stuff like that. And the other accounts are just standard. So like the retirement account, I have a Roth IRA for that. So that kind of thing, I still trade it, but I trade it within the bounds that you have to treat Roth IRAs with, which is not as bad as people think, by the way. And it's also not as difficult to put money in there as people think. That's another thing I think that's really broadly misunderstood about Roth IRAs. You get priced out of being able to directly contribute to them fast. So I don't know what the income limit is. I'll tell you guys right now. What are the current single and married income limits to contribute to a Roth IRA in the US? I think it's only in the US that there's Roth IRAs. I think that was an unnecessary data point. But let's see. So single, you have to make less than 150K. If you're married, it's 236. Then there's a reduced contribution, which is 150 to 165 for single and 236 to 246 for married. And then there's no contribution, which is 165 or more or 246 or more, which that still is absolutely confounding to me, because if they're trying to incentivize saving, like why is that even penalized in that way? It's super annoying. But in case you don't know, you can still contribute. It's just not in a tax advantaged way. So what you can do is you can contribute to a traditional IRA, not tax deductible. And then you can convert that traditional into a Roth. And as long as you do it quickly enough so that there's no gains, then there's no penalty, there's no nothing. But that's the easiest way to still fund a Roth IRA. And the reason why funding a Roth IRA is important, at least for like outliers, for people like me, is as compared to the normal person, their income should look like this. If you start off, you really have no income. Let's say that this is like 18. Let's say that this is like 40. And then let's say that this is like 60. Most people, it looks like this, where you're in like the meat of your earnings potential in here. And then at the end, for most people, they don't have a W-2 once they retire. So then their income is typically just like Social Security. But for somebody like me and hopefully other folks, the way it works is the way that I've built stuff is my income goes like this. And by the time I'm 60, which is what, like 25 years from now, 26 years from now, my income will be parabolic up from where it is now, like parabolic up. So a Roth is useful to me because it's tax deferred on withdrawals once you're at 59 and a half plus. That's why. If you do not think that you're going to be experiencing higher income later, then a traditional IRA is completely reasonable because it's tax deferred up front and then you pay taxes when you take it out. But if you're building good, robust income sources so that you're not the normal person, and the normal person has one income source, that one income is typically a W-2. If you're enterprising, you'll have a W-2, you'll have a couple side hustles, you'll have trading, you'll have real estate, probably, hopefully a few of those. And maybe you start a side business. This is the idea of really diversifying your income sources and trying to increase your robustness. Because what this means is, like, if this doesn't work, that's okay. You still have these other things. If this doesn't work, you still have all these other things. And it creates a much more robust profile for yourself. It's not going to happen immediately. It's unrealistic to expect that kind of thing immediately, but it is absolutely something that's attainable. Any other questions that you guys have? It can be about the channel. It can be about the community. It can be about the future. It can be about trading, whatever you guys want. And Kirk says, do you mega backdoor your Roth? Yeah, that's exactly right. So right now it's still completely fine to do that. It's not illegal. It sounds more nefarious than it actually is, but you absolutely can continue to fund your Roth in a couple different ways. Yeah. It's, again, if you're expecting to have more robust income, then it definitely is worth it. In the meantime, I do want to talk a little bit about the future, because I spend a lot of time thinking about the community and trying to figure out, like, what I think would be good for us, where I want to go. And I think the most important thing to me is to continue adding value. That's very, very important to me. I find what I do here, somebody asked a while ago, like, well, it's not asked, it's more of accused me. Somebody accused me of making like tons of money on YouTube, and like the lifetime revenue for the channel is not that much. If I look at how much I've made over the lifetime of the channel against the amount of time that I put in just to build content, not even the amount of time to generate the experience in order to build the content, I literally am making like $4 an hour, if that. So there's a big, massive myth that if you have some sort of YouTube channel, you immediately have like tons and tons of money. Objectively not true. I spend on a weekly basis. Let's say that I do one video, which is like my Sunday video. That one video normally recorded, let's say on average, is 15 minutes. And let's say to build it is like 60 minutes. That the reason for the duration to build it is because I do need to typically create some materials for it. And then I try to think of like a talk track for it. So there's 75 minutes. Then from a live stream lens, we have the Sunday stream, which is typically 60 minutes. We have the Tuesday stream, which is typically 60 minutes. Then we have the Wednesday stream, which is 60 minutes. Then we have the Thursday stream, which is 60 minutes. Friday, which is generally longer, more like 90 minutes on average, maybe. Then we have the Saturday stream, which is typically a little more than 60 minutes, maybe 70 minutes-ish. If I add this all up on a weekly basis, we're at 475 minutes. This is of just content creation, which is 7 hours, well, 8 hours. The amount of time to build the material for these is also not insignificant. So for the Sunday video, it's typically not a ton of prep, maybe like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. The Tuesday is not a lot of prep, maybe same 30, 40 minutes. The Wednesday video, typically more prep. Thursday video, definitely more prep. Friday video, definitely more prep. And then the Saturday video, less prep. The prep for all of these, especially like the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, is way more than what it takes to actually do the video. The funny thing here is that as I do the math on the total number of videos I have and the total video hours that are produced and the time that it takes to put the videos in and together, it's literally like $5 an hour, which is, I couldn't care less. I really am not doing this for that. So that's the beautiful part about being financially free, is that I can spend the time to do something that has an absolutely tremendously negative ROI, but I believe in it. The reason for the Patreon is literally to help subsidize the cost for me doing things. So it costs money for me to host a website. It costs money for me to hire people, which is a big thing. That's one of my big projects for 2026 is I want to hire more headcount for the community. And it's not like hiring for the sake of hiring or even hiring necessarily to grow the channel per se. I do want to grow the channel, but it's actually hiring to just fucking provide jobs and to allow people some sort of part-time side hustle on a topic that they like. Right now, the people that help make YouTube shorts, I just kicked those back off. They're a community member. For somebody that's helping me come up with like background materials, FAQs, there's a Greeks-based like word game that's going to be in the newsletter. Like, a community member is doing those. And those kind of tasks are things before that, like there was no budget at all to pay any of these people, which I wanted to try to find a way to pay them because like these are younger dudes. They're in their early 20s. I think one of the person that works for me is still in their teens. And it's like, I want to try to give them some money and to make it make sense. So the thing I do with the Patreon is reinvest the overwhelming majority of it. The other thing that I try to do is price the Patreon so that it's reasonable, but that the value so far exceeds the cost that I think it's like 5 to 6 times value per cost, at least. And that's the only way that I can structure something like that and feel good about it, is if I think that the value is like just so egregiously over what the cost is. Because then I can look at it and say like, yeah, like this absolutely will provide that. Because even the pro tier at $50 a month, it's not cheap, right? Like if you think $50 a month, it's like a gym membership or something like that. But if you think of it in the context of trading, how easy it is to lose $50. And if you learn something in the pro community that keeps you from losing that $50 that month, it's paid for itself and then compounds, right? Like that kind of thing. So the big thing I'm trying to do for the future is I don't know what the goal is going to be for next year. I'll have to take a look at the last like 3 years because it was what, like 6,000, and this year was only like 1,600. So I think like a reasonable growth trajectory would be like maybe 7,500. So try to get to like 42.5, I think will be reasonable. Still a stretch, still more than I typically grow by. But so I want to do that. And the other big pillar is actually to continue to develop the community. That's the part that I love the most, to be honest. I absolutely love the community. All right. Reggie says, do you have a medium to long-term outlook on the market, chance of a crash? I look at the market right now, and I think if there was, in my mind, like the potential for a correction or bear market, I think it's more now. And then longer term, I'm bullish. I don't think the inverse. I think that there's a little bit of jitteriness as per usual. And NVIDIA just reported, they reported really, really well. And we had a good earnings season. So S&P companies, they're growing their year over year earnings by 13%. So they're doing well. The economy is doing fine. I think this rhetoric about like a crash or a collapse I think it's normal when we're hovering near all-time highs, but I think it's just so overused and abused. This pullback itself still was in a overall healthy configuration. It was a 4% pullback within the S&P 500, within SPY. And for those that don't know, in SPY, it spends the overwhelming majority of its time within 5% of all-time highs. So getting a sub 5% pullback is fine. Now, a little bit different than that, though, is I do think the breadth is not good. And I think that the way that the market is situated at this moment is still very weak in terms of what's driving returns. That's unhealthy. And that will need to either normalize or roll over. And at least in the short term, I do favor more rollover-ish. But we can see futures are up or decent right now. NASDAQ's up 1.7%. E-minis are up 1%. Russell's about flat. I'm getting whacked on my Bitcoin position, but even that's up a little bit. There's a lot of stuff that's still doing well, even though when I look at breadth, it's not looking good. So if I were to summarize that into like a succinct market view for Reggie, I would summarize it as I actually favor near-term weakness and downside potential and then longer-term upside potential. And that's just because with AI growing as fast as it is, it's going to continue to generate value at such an insane clip that it will overwhelm a lot of downside, especially if stuff hits more reasonable prices. Because right now, the S&P like average PE is still like really high. What's the average PE ratio for the S&P 500? And I just heard a scratch at the door. So let me get the dude. Here he is. I've been letting him grow out. He's so poofy right now. It's incredible. He's very stoic. So he can be very talkative, but I think he's a little nervous when he's in front of you guys. He does like to be here. He was celebrating with us. You want to go in your bed? Bed? There's the homie. All right. So yeah, that would be the synopsis: near-term weakness, longer-term strength potential, but near-term weakness, I think, at least as of right now. Goofy says, true, YouTube is built on the backs of hopes and dreams. So many creators make less than minimum wage, definitely. And the other thing is a lot of creators completely misunderstand like what it is. The thing is either you have to provide a significant amount of utility or you have to be really entertaining, and people favor entertainment. If you can be entertaining, you can make a ton of money on YouTube, especially if you have like some sort of brand deal on top of what you make from your ads. You can make a lot of money, but again, that's the very small percentage. Those are the top performers that hit that. The return potential from entertainment is very high, and it's literally because people like to be entertained. In something like options, there's not even that many fucking options traders in the US. Actually, let's see if there's any metrics on that. And for those wondering right now, the trailing PE for S&P is like 28, 29%. The forward PE is like 23%. It's high. Like things are definitely high. How many options traders, retail, are there in the US? Consumer research firm estimates between 6 and 7 million are trading on margin or using options. So it's likely a few million. That's probably the best guess. So there just really isn't a ton. Glenarian says, thoughts on brokers. I use multiple. I like how Fidelity lets you use SPACs as collateral for selling puts. Tasty for more complex trades, bit of leverage. I honestly have used Thinkorswim since it was TD Ameritrade. So started with TD Ameritrade, now Schwab. And I've stayed with them the whole time. I think as long as you're using a reputable broker, that's ultimately what matters. If somebody was like, hey, could you outline the top 2 or 3 brokers? I would Schwab and then probably IBKR. Those would be the 2 that I would at least put on people's radar. And it's for a lot of different reasons, but a lot of it has to do with the capability of the platforms and the fill quality. It's difficult to assess fill quality, but there are reports that come out periodically about brokers' fill quality. And places like Robinhood, Webull, places like that have awful fill quality. And typically places like IBKR and Schwab, prior TD Ameritrade, typically have very good fill quality relative. So that's where I would go, is one of those. And that's why I'm still using Thinkorswim. I'm not an affiliate with them at all. I make absolutely nothing in any capacity. I get no benefits from using their platform and using the platform, on the channel with you guys. But they definitely have probably one of the most robust free trading platforms that exist. It really is good. There's a lot of things as I've used it over the years that are left to be desired that I would like. But those things aside, it's insanely capable for what it is. So yeah, that's where I would go. Matthias says, thoughts on back testing. Which platform allows you to test earnings-driven strategies, input of precise dates, entries, exit rules? I don't know any platform that does that. The trick with back testing is there really are not great platforms for it that exist. I looked at building one because I'm so passionate specifically about back testing and paper trading. And it's something that I want to do eventually, but I have to drastically increase the revenue that I make in order to even make it remotely worthwhile. Because to build the tool, I have a buddy that would help me, so I'd be able to do that cheaply. But the data is expensive. And then the back end to it and the maintenance of the back end is also expensive. Eventually, I would like to get there because I think it's extremely valuable. But yeah, the way that most professionals backtest is through their own building. So building something in Python or R, and then using some sort of MATLAB or other ingest to get data and literally testing that way. That's the only way I actually know how to do it in a way that I trust what I'm seeing. I don't know of any good backtesting website at all. If you guys know one, I would love to know, because I would be more than happy to reach out to them and ask if I can, look through their tools and stuff. The other ones that are decent are things like Options Omega is actually the most decent one I know, but it's very specialized. And their platform capability is very, very, very wrapped around like zero DTEs, short-term trading strategies, and just a handful of underlyings. So I don't really consider that like a back testing platform. It's really more a tool for almost a very specific strategy suite. It's very different. I use it. I like it. It's good to help like quickly fact check stuff, but it's super, super specialized. So I don't actually know of a good one, unfortunately. That is probably one of the largest sources of work that go along with trading, is that side of stuff. I'm in the process of trying to build like a end-to-end organized list of things that a trader needs to be able to do that's detailed. And a big part of that is learning stats in probabilities, which is pure luck. that my background largely overlaps with that. I can't say that name says, could you open more charts? I think we're kind of at capacity. Maybe I could squeeze a few more on here. This is one of my favorite views to like very quickly see how the entire market is behaving. So in here, we have all of the S&P sectors. We have vol, bonds, all of the indices, and we have a couple breadth indicators. And then typically some sort of commodity. So I keep crude in there or the dollar or Bitcoin, like any of those kind of things. Yeah, this is like a really good visual snapshot of how everything is doing and how everything is trending. All of these are on 6-month daily timeframes. So you can actually see quite a lot in a fairly compressed space. This is where you can identify a lot of fun opportunities of strength and weakness. One of those that have been following at least the live streams for a while is the relative strength that we've seen in healthcare compared to the other sectors. There's a lot of money to be made in healthcare. If you take a look at the move that healthcare has had over the last, how long is this? 40 bars. So like 2 trading months. This is like 10% almost in the ETF itself. So then if we take a look within the sector, you'll actually find that the breadth is still highly centralized in a few names. And these are names that we literally have talked about together, specifically Cardinal Health, Eli Lilly. Those have been absolutely leading the pack over the course of this move. I had long positions straight up in both of them. And it's because the moves that you see here are way more profound starting in October. And it's an earnings catalyst. So they did really, really well. And Eli Lilly also did really, really well. These are both simple post-earnings announcement drift trades. This one has generated 30% return over 3 trading weeks. This is like the easy side of trading, and it exists. A lot of people don't know to look here or how to find it, and that is normal. It takes time to build the experience to do this, but it is really, really easy once you learn how to look for stuff to find things like this. And this is realistically what I spend most of like the discretionary time for what I'm looking for, is finding stuff like this that are just kind of easy money. So it looks like JJ or JI's point, all of this starts by typically looking at one of those really crowded looking charts. Naden says, I always have a hard time getting in good entries because I think if someone went up 30%, I'm scared that it would not go up anymore. Yeah. That is because there's not a defined profit mechanism. If you don't have a defined profit mechanism in what you're doing, and you don't have an understanding of what that profit mechanism typically looks like, your sensation that you're describing is very normal. But if you go through the effort and you actually define the profit mechanism, you learn how it behaves, then you actually develop a really, really good intuitive sense of like where stuff is, where it may or may not go. All of those kind of decisions actually become much, much easier to identify. And the other thing that becomes really easy is like the risk mitigation side of the equation. So for stuff like this, it's pure, it literally is pure asymmetric opportunity. Let's take a look. I'll grab the trade details for Lilly and we'll look at it just because we're in here. And they reported before the market on the 30th. So let's go back to the 30th really fast, just so that you can get a sense of what this kind of thing can do. And I have a set for 0830, and then let me find the trade details. All right. So first things first, the entry was after a breakout above this. So the entry didn't happen here. And it's because the move on the day was weak and there was nothing there that was interesting enough to me. The entry for me actually happens when there is a clean, decisive break over this, which happened in here. So I'm finding the specific time where that breaks, bingo, where that break started to meaningfully accelerate here. And I had two pieces to this trade. I had a midterm ratio call diagonal, and then I had a near term long call, really gamma based play was the purpose of it. So what I'm doing right now is I'm scaling it to a $100,000 portfolio. That's what we typically use in these, so that you have a sense of what the returns look like. Where the fuck? Trying to find some sort of trade log somewhere. There we go. I'm going to move this off to the side so that we could take a look. The near-term play was, well, realize we don't kind of need all this madness. This is a little too much. Ah, this one's good. This one has what we need. So the date for this is 31 oct, and there were two positions that I put on. First, spot price was 863. So as we started breaking above that handle, and again, I have to scale the trades really quick. So the first one was here, and it was a 30 delta. So these were at, I think they were like 1225 is what I thought. So this was the 900s at 12.5. Delta was 0.30. Gamma, just because I want you to see how those change. Theta was negative 0.523. And then Vega was 0.738. And if we look at where the trade is wrong, it's essentially it's a close below 828. So if we take a look at what that would be, then I can size it. 828. So that's $12.49 on a $100,000 account. You get a one lot. So it's about 1%. That's good. And then for the base position, which was a 90-day diagonal, and it was the 850 just because they were a little bit more late. And that one, 850, picked up, I want to say it was like 61-ish. 0.58 is our delta. Gamma's 0.003. Theta is negative 0.35. And then Vega is 1.55. All right. And let's fast forward, and I'll walk you through a couple decision points. First, let's go like, what was it, the 31st? Let's go half a week-ish. So here, there's a key decision point for me. This is normally when stuff like this, especially smaller names, have big moves like this, there very frequently can be a reversal somewhere in this point, especially when the moving averages are this spread apart. And more importantly than that, the reversal can often be like a pretty aggressive gap down. Now, in bigger names like this, that's a little less common, but still can happen. So on 21 Nove, this position won't have enough room just because it's built for a smaller account, right? I'm scaling this to a $100,000 account, but I took off the front, which was the 5 Nove. Spot price was 948, and the premium was 62.25. And then the other position, no change. I let that one alone, and then I'll explain why. So what this option did was, generally speaking, what it was supposed to do. And what this option was supposed to do was rapidly compound. And it's because of the gamma element to it, which I'll explain to you guys in a second. I'm just getting the rest of the math set up. This times. Then I need a return on invested capital. ROIC. And that equals divided by value. Times this times 100. As a percent. So this had a really, really aggressive move to start off. And I'll show you what it looks like so far. So the position originally was put on at 863, and again, scaled for a $100,000 portfolio based on where I would take a loss. It was about like a 1.2% risk to the portfolio. It was bought for 1225, and then again, like 3-4 trading days later, the underlying moved 9.9%, and the premium moved actually really significantly. And this needs to be fixed just because it needs an absolute value for these. I have it, like I just kind of cobbled this thing together. But the premium itself scaled actually a lot. Oops. Absolute value this, divide by absolute value of this. So the option compounded massively. And this here is the first part of the base position, and it's really designed to compound, like I said, very quickly. It's a little bit different when we look at the longer term position now. So this one's completely off. And then we had the 16 Jan, the 900 or the 850s. We were slightly in the money. So those now are going for like 127 for context. And these have compounded, but less so. Notice the change in terms of return on invested capital. The reason for the gap here is because these don't compound as much. The underlying, the premium itself still appreciated handsomely, but it's significantly less than what you saw here. And that's because these have less gamma. But the purpose for this position is really to give me more time to ride more of the trend with the momentum following approach. So I will walk you through that in a sec. AJ says, was my Patreon question removed? No, I don't see anything in there. What was your question? Yeah, I didn't see anything, but let me know. And it says, been on the fence, joining, wanted some convincing. Honestly, I'm not the guy for that. Like, I really wouldn't try to convince anybody one way or the other. If you have questions about it, happy to answer. But I really, really think it's a decision like somebody should make for themselves and whatever is right for you. Now, but yeah, let me know whatever your question was and I'll take a look. It's just, I don't see it in the chat. Let's take a look at the rest of this move and I'll walk you through a little bit of the decision making, which, by the way, this is actually something I would do on the Patreon typically, just because it's kind of like a play-by-play of the whole thing. This here actually doesn't denote an exit yet. The reason why it doesn't denote an exit yet for this specific strategy is it hasn't gotten anywhere near the short-term moving average that I'm using to follow the broader trend. But I do want you to notice how it behaved on this reversal day. It's important to note how it behaved on this reversal day. And this is because you can give up several days of gains on these reversal days, right? So take a look. It opened here, rallied all the way up here, closed here, gapped up again, opened here, rallied up here, closed here. And then on this reversal day, it's just undone the last 2 days by itself. And this is only a few hours into the trading day. These reversal days, especially in stuff like this, can be kind of nasty. So you have to have a game plan in place. But that one wasn't an exit criteria for me. And it's literally because of this factor. It didn't actually violate any of my like trend following rules. So if we go to the end of the week, you'll see now it's a different perspective. It's a different perspective because at this point, it's starting to consolidate a little bit. Still too early to take an exit in my world. This would be viable for some sort of partial exit. But when something consolidates like this, I typically don't expect to see some sort of massive gap drop down like I would this being able to turn into. So if we go to the last day that's available, at least in here, and show you the spot price, it's still continuing to trend sideways. This is where I would scale out part of the position. Again, these are one lots because it's scaled to a $100,000 account, but I'll give you a sense of what those are running for now, just so that you can get an idea of what they're trading at, which is like 195. And now the underlying is at 1029. So on a trade that we, that's not correct. These should be this. So on a trade that we put up a total of like 73.25, that again, this is scaled to a $100,000 account, even though it's 73.25 in terms of the overall debit. That's not how much would actually be at risk in the trade. And then here is where it's sitting at right now, which would give us a total P&L of 18,400. So it's a little over doubling your money, at least in terms of the allocation. It's easier to do that with kind of these allocations because it's not all of your money. A lot of times when people see returns like this, they think like, oh man, like if I do that with my whole account, then I'll be, making a bunch of money really quick and it'll be great. The problem is like maximizing a position like this with your entire account is really, really fucking hard. And the reason why it's super, super hard is because then there's a lot of emotion that goes into it. You're like, damn, I really want this to work, and so on and so forth. So these are, again, it's just one example of an individual trade. It's actually just a very simple post-earnings announcement drift that's actually still on. And it's because we had 3 consolidating days, definitely good strength, but I didn't like that they were slightly descending. And that's okay, take some profit. I took 2/3 and now there's a third left on that leg. Now I see. And we take a look at how it eventually resolves. But that's just Eli Lilly. And the thing that I want you to pay attention to is let's scale this really quick from $100,000 to $1 million account. The reason why I want to show you this scale is because the percentages are one thing, but the gross is different. This is the gross for an appropriately scaled version of this position in $1 million account. This is $184,000. That matters because even though the percent returns are good and stuff like that, the more important part here is like, this is real money, right? Like that's a okay salary for people. This is when you can actually begin to live a decent life off of stuff like this. Now, again, this is just one trade. There's plenty of versions of this where it's a loser instead of a winner. And if you remember, this was risking about $2,000, a little more than $2,000 between these two positions. So in the context here, you're risking like 20 grand. But in the $1 million account scaled, the 20 grand here is granting you the potential in this case so far for 184, which it's still not quite done yet. So this is when it was marked at 1029. So the way that this would actually work is like this. 2/3 come out ish, and then the remainder is here. And let's just take a look at what it's worth today. That same option as it sits now, the 850. Those are now 213. So the position is total at 191.2, something like that. So that's an example of using this really busy chart grid to find where strength is as far as a sector, and then stacking strength, finding more strength within that sector, and then finding a couple things to place trades and make some money. AJ was saying, just wanted to see an intro and an example to get a sense of what they get. Oh yeah, if you're curious about that, you should also just go to the Patreon, because on the membership page for the Patreon, there's a pretty in-depth description about like what you actually get. I don't even think I can paste it in here because there's a lot. I can paste the link to the membership page. And if you go to like Pro, which is like the base tier for folks, the description literally lists out like everything. So you'll see like what the 3 different weekly streams are, what the community opportunities are, stuff like that. That'll all be in there for you. That's a completely fair question, right? Like I would want to know what I'm getting if I'm buying something too, for sure. All right, gang, it is time for me to grab dinner. I want to extend another very gracious thank you all for being a part of what this thing is. It's really, really fun. In general, I know it's me sharing like a lifetime of experience. So the value proposition is skewed from that lens, but I really enjoy interacting with you all. I love the people that we kind of bring into the community, what kind of folks this thing attracts. And I'm super, super stoked to continue growing with you all and like getting to know you all better. I literally have people now in the community that I like should have known for 5 fucking years. It's like not a trivial amount of time to know somebody. So that's the other really cool thing, is like actually building relationships, which I enjoy. So here's to 35. For next year, we're gunning for 42.5. We'll see how well I deliver. Be an outlier. See you guys later.